interviewing and resumes. Okay, these are two things that I think that people get really worked up about, and they get a lot of anxiety over. And the truth of the matter is that this isn't rocket science. It's just a little bit of common sense thing. And the truth of the matter is that the easiest thing to do is the thing that you absolutely should do, and that's to spend most time listening. Okay, but there's a whole process to this. I'm going to kind of walk through putting together a resume after that. So I called it. Well, I don't call this. I actually stole this from somebody. I'm using it with attribution, and that is something called the S.A.L.S technique. It's an acronym, S.A.L.S, and the letters stand for, this is so good that I don't have to write it down, although hopefully I don't forget it. Serve is S, A is ask, L is listen, E is empathy, and S, the last S, is summarize. Okay. So we're going to go through each one of those individually, kind of explain how this works. All right. So we are at NACA. Right? You're at NACA. You've got your resumes in your arm that you put together at the end of this video. You get your business cards, maybe. You've got, you're wearing something business casual, right? You don't have to dress like an adjuster necessarily. You don't have to be wearing a red golf shirt. But I would say that dressing like you are a professional, right? No jeans. Don't wear jeans. Don't wear tennis shoes. I know it's comfortable. I know it's super casual, and it's like, it's fun, and there's all these events and classes and everything, and other people are going to be doing it, but you're not going to do it. Okay. You're going to wear khakis, wear business casual. Okay. You can wear a nice long sleeve. You go to Banana Republic and pick up some nice clothes, or, find some stuff that looks nice. Right. And that, if you were going to go on a first date or on a, meet your new girlfriend or boyfriend's parents, for the first time, you would go to their house wearing this outfit, right? Or really to a job interview, because that's what you're going to be doing, right? So a job interview apparel, make a good impression, a very first good impression. The young folks call it your thin slice, right? When you first step in the door, people take a snapshot of you. Or when you first step up to the booth, that's your thin slice. What are they seeing? Are you got like backpacks and like all kinds of things on, and you got your beards out of control. Your hair, you didn't really do anything with your hair when you got up because you stayed out too late the night before going to Matt's axe throwing thing. Or is this thin slice snapshot of you that recruiter is going to see, going to be like, oh, this their clothes are not wrinkled. I mean, they're going to take all this in 1 second, right? Nice shoes, no tennis shoes. You could probably just wear leather shoes, right? You don't have to wear high heels or anything like that. No, you don't have to wear skirts and things. Unwrinkled clothes, nice, looks nice. That's your thin slice, right? What you're going to carry with you when you go sit down at all these interviews is going to be the first S, right? Service, right? So your main attitude when you first sit down, when you walk up to do a job interview, is to have in your heart and in your mind an attitude of service. I'm coming to bring value to this company, right? I'm not saying that being motivated by money is bad. I'm not saying that at all. It's because you want to change your lifestyle, right? And it costs money to do that sometimes, right? I'm not saying having other motivations where you're like, man, I really need this so that I can do X, Y, and Z, so I can break, so our family can move to a better place, so we can do this, we can do that, pay off these bills, whatever, right? Those are your motivations to do this, but you have to lead with value, and that is you bringing value to them, not them. Not sitting down and being like, well, this is the kind of thing I need. I need this. I need that. I need 75%. I need to make at least $300,000 a year. I need this, blah, 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 blah. That you'll get shut down. They may sit there and nod and smile at you. Oh, thanks so much. We'll keep your thing. And they're going to pretend like they put it in their briefcase when they just drop it in the trash, right? Lead with value, right? So service. So the first S is service, to serve, right? That's your attitude that you want to lead with. A, ask, right? Ask questions. Obviously, if you're going to go sit down with Pilot for 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to have gone to pilotcat.com and spent maybe 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, just reading through their website, seeing what kind of things that they have going on. Pilot spends a lot of money on philanthropy, find out what those things are, learn a little bit about them, and ask questions, right? Ask questions about what, if you're brand new, great questions to lead off with. I have these licenses. I'm working on these other licenses. I have this training, this certification. For pilot catastrophe, what is the ideal adjuster, whether they have experience or not? What do they show up with that makes you feel comfortable putting them to work and giving them claims and putting them out in the field? And then zip it, right? Don't be like going on a thing, like rationalizing and over explaining and telling all the bullet points and doing like asking a question. And then my mom does this and I love her, but she'll ask a question and then she'll answer it. Like she'll just say, well, because I think da, 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 da. I'm like, Mom, let me answer the question, right? Let them answer the question. So you ask, right? Ask questions that are triggered or geared towards finding out what it is that they need, right? It goes back to the service, right? For the first S. Then you're going to do the L, which is to listen, right? Don't be like trying to jump in and like say all these extra things that you do. And, sometimes people, when they get nervous, they like to talk a lot, right? And they feel like they have to fill every empty space with them saying something. Listen, right? Because if you're listening actively and you're not sitting there just like waiting for them for a break when what they say so that you can like say the thing that you're thinking about, and you're not really listening to them, then you're not really listening. You're just, the air is moving around you with sound waves, but it's not going in, right? Listen to what they're saying. Get up, take a yellow legal pad and a pen with you on all these things. This page is Pilot's page. The next page is Crawford's page. The next page is whoever's page, right? Ask your questions. Maybe come up with like 4 or 5 or 6 questions to start. Write them down, right? And then when you're sitting there with them, you're like, okay, I have just a couple questions for you. What are the top 3 certifications that Pilot thinks really moves the needle on adjuster success for the long term for their career? And then get ready to write it down, right? Write that thing down. And then because later you're going to look at it, right? So this is the listening part, right? You're listening when you're writing and you're listening, right? And you're not talking and you're not thinking about what you're going to say next because you've already kind of got it. You got another question right there, right? Then you can sort of like have the dual memory sort of like capture of like hearing it and then writing it and then seeing yourself write it, right? So this kind of 3 ways to sort of like solidify it in your brain. Plus you've got it written down, right? So you're listening, right? The next letter is E, which is empathy, right? So you have to understand, and this again, all these tie back to service. When you have empathy in the context of like a job interview, that is to say that manager sitting across from you has needs, right? You've got needs, right? You got to pay your bills. You want to pay your car off. You want to do this. You want to take your family on vacation for the first time in 12 years, whatever it is, right? That guy or gal sitting across from you has needs as well. They've got open claims. They're about to lose a carrier client because they don't have an adjuster in Washington State. This is the empathy part. So you're there to help this team manager that might be sitting across from you, because a lot of the team managers will go and recruit directly. They may have a recruiting team, right, that aren't managers but that are recruiters. You may be sitting across from a director of operations or a VP, right? For some of the smaller firms, and they want to know that you care about what they care about, right? That's the empathy piece. Again, you're not doing a lot of talking, right? And in the very beginning of this, I said, the easiest thing is probably the number one thing you should do, and the easiest thing is just to shut your mouth, right, and just listen. Okay, that's the easiest thing, and it's the thing that you need to be doing, right? So have empathy. Right. And then finally, they're going to ask you questions or whatever. You answer those questions, short, concise, right? At the very, very end, they might say, okay, well, looks like, I really appreciate you sitting down with us and blah, blah, blah. Right. Any other questions, that you have for me right now? And this is where you summarize, right? You say, okay, well, actually, I just want to kind of just go over what we talked about, just to make sure that I'm totally square on it and I understood what you were saying and everything. And then just summarize you had some questions, right? They said to get the fast track to deployment. They said to go get a level 2, otherwise that carrier won't hire you. They said to get, Florida license and a whatever, like California and Hawaii. They couldn't stop talking about those 3 states, right? The first thing I'm going to do is go get those licenses. But I'm going to say, right, you're looking for somebody who's got these qualifications. I need to, wrap up my Xactimate level 2, get certified for that. And then I need to pick up those 3 licenses that you mentioned, Florida, Hawaii, and California. Sound right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's perfect. Awesome. Right. That's going to be a very, very productive interview for you and for them. And they're going to remember you if you use that S.A.L.S acronym. And I borrow that from a digital marketing guy who's all over YouTube named Chris Doe. And he has a bunch of really great videos that I think apply to adjusters. Like if you're as an adjuster, you're kind of like, you're basically an entrepreneur, right? You're a little bit of a business person, right? So I watch a lot of those videos, obviously, because I have a business, with Adjuster TV. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So the sales technique, right? So service, right? So have that attitude. You show up to serve. I'm ready to lead with value. What do they need, right? Ask questions, listen to the answers, right? And listen to whatever else they say as well, right? Listen to the kind of questions they ask you because it'll give you a clue as to what's important to them. Empathize, right? Which is all of these things put together. You're finding out what it is it's important to them. It's going to help them be successful, right? And then summarize at the end. Hey, I just want to go over everything that we talked about and make sure that I'm fully understanding it is exactly what you need. The URL to onboard with Crawford, if you didn't do it already, which you should have already done, is started doing that for all these companies, right? You should be doing that like immediately if you haven't started it. I don't care if you have licenses or not. URL for this training thing. I got it. You said it was $399 for the ABCs of adjusting thing in Atlanta in March, right? And that's March 15th. Okay. All right. I got that. Cool. Perfect. All right. Anything else I need to know that I can do, whatever, right? And if you want to be like a total suck up, you can be like, can I get you a donut or pull an apple out of your pocket and set it on their desk? But maybe don't do that. By the way, we have in the last few weeks, we picked up 2 new FTD partners, IA firm partners. One of them is the Best Claims, it's the Best Claims Solutions or whatever. But if you go to thebestclaims.com, they are a recruiter and an IA firm, right? And they do property. And if you wanted to get a job as a commercial staff adjuster at Zurich, as a salaried person or whatever, and you're qualified for it, they could find that job for you. They're like headhunters, right? So they're a really good one. They were kind of a big win for us as far as partners. The other one is a little bit more of a regional. They're kind of like a boutique, I would say, IA firm, a little bit like CCMS and Associates, and that's Hausch and Company. If any of you guys come to NACA, Hausch all these firms are going to be there. The guy that's was my best friend at Hausch and Company is this guy named Barry Parks. He's been at the NACA conventions for years. He's not going to be at this one. But they're a really, really good company. They're desperate for adjusters. Another thing I want to tell you guys is that Lacrity told me this, Hausch told me this, Sedgwick told me this, and that is that approaching and exceeding 50% of a lot of the work that they have for adjusters, right now, in 2023 into 2024, is remote desk stuff. Okay, there's a lot of that stuff. So if you have opportunities to do that, even if it sounds like it's FNOL, where you're just answering the phone and typing in and setting claims up, I would take it, right? Because it's a good start into doing remote desk. Long story short on all this stuff for you guys, don't hold out for the thing that you want to do, right? If you don't want to ever do field, and they say, hey, we got a field thing, it's 4 hours from your house, or it's 2 states away or whatever, we could probably give you 30 claims. Just say yes, just take it. Just do it. Okay. It's going to be a great experience for you. And if you only want to do remote desk claims, any field experience that you have will absolutely benefit you, because you're going to get OJT, right, on the job training, right, and vice versa, right? If you never want to do remote, if you're like, man, I want to get on roofs, I want to get a suntan, I want to have ankles of iron like Matt does. I never want to sit at home in pajamas. I don't want to be at home at all. and an opportunity for a remote desk thing pops up for you, just take it. Go to the coffee shop if you don't want to be hanging around the house. If there's, you got construction going on like at my house or whatever. Do I have any insight on what the pilot skill test involves? I would take this test on Monday and it will determine based on a 60% passing grade to take a 5-day or a 10-day course. It's just an assessment. It's going to be for them to gauge what you can do, right? It's not going to be like you're going to get wrong answers necessarily. It's just to see if you know what the right answer is, right? So you're not going to be punished for it. If you do really well on it, then maybe they just send you to their 5-day, right? If you don't do so great and you have some spots that they identify that you need to work on, they'll send you to the 10-day. Okay, so, but I would do it no matter what. Go into those things is really important. I've said this a gazillion times. You go to any kind of training thing that you can at IA firms, even if it seems redundant to what you've already done with me or with anybody else, because they're watching you, right? They're trying to assess you when they give you those $99 courses or the 5-day or the 10-day or the whatever's the free, all that stuff. They're trying to find people, right? Those are recruiting events. So go to them. All right. Now I want to build a resume. We're going to keep it simple, right? We're going to keep it clear, and we're going to keep it to 1 page. And I know that's immediately going to trigger somebody who says, "Well, I've got my CV and I've got all this experience." Like my dad, his resume is like 72 pages long. I don't know how he's got a PhD in finance and all this stuff. So, and I'm like, "Dad, that's a nice long resume. It's a CV. It's not for jobs like this, right? If you've got a resume that's more than 3 or 4 pages long, you're probably not going to be. You're probably overqualified for this. And if that's you, you might be overqualified to be an adjuster. All right, give me a thumbs up that you can see my blank screen, blank document screen here. Okay, the very first thing, and you can. I would strongly encourage you not to zhuzh up your resume too much with graphics and pictures and stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, a simple black and white, just a white page, right? You can print it on colored paper if you want to. If it's sitting, you just imagine your resume sitting in a stack, and all the resumes are white, right, on white paper, and yours is on like lime green paper, right? It's going to pop out a little bit. Very first thing we want to see on your resume, and this is not a definitive resume making course necessarily, but we're just going to talk about what you need to have on your resume and what doesn't, more importantly, what doesn't need to be there. Okay. Close that. Get screen so I can see what I'm doing. All right. So centered, right? Matthew Allen. Okay, you can make that big if you want to, whatever. We're going to type this whole thing out, and then we can fiddle around if you want to later with like text size, font sizes, things like that. I'm using Helvetica, super easy to read, right? Really, really easy to read. I'm going to say Montana licensed adjuster. Okay, and then I'm going to have my contact info, including my address, phone, and email. Okay. I can't tell you the number of the resumes I look at where the person doesn't have their address, they have their phone number and their email, and I have no idea what state they're in. This is important. Okay. If they're looking through a pile of resumes, they're like, I need somebody that's in Montana, and they're flipping through resumes, they're not seeing anything, and they see mine, this pops out, right? Montana licensed adjuster. You could say something like that, right? The next thing I want to have up here is my NPN number. Okay. When you get your license, your first license, you go to SIRCON, you'll get a national producer number, whatever this number is, right? Because HR and recruiters can look up all your licenses with this number. Okay. Good so far? Makes sense? And then I'm going to jump back over to a little left justification here. And I'm going to say something super basic, something super simple. I have a thing that I say all the time. I can't remember what it is, but if you remember it, go ahead and jump in and say it. But it's something like, um, ready to, I'm just kind of making something up here, ready to serve. Start off with identifying who you are. So you could say Montana, licensed, level 2, Xactimate certified, adjuster, ready to serve the insurance claims industry. Right. That's really all you need. You don't need to have a whole big long thing there. Right. I see people that have like this, it looks like AI wrote it, or like, Marge, the resume lady who's got a little place in like the strip mall, and she writes resumes for $50 a pop, right? And she'll put this gigantic block of text in here with a bunch of just nonsense words, right? It looks like that. And it'll say something like this: objective, right? Nobody's reading that, right? Even though it's repeated text, your eyes glaze over when you see that. Don't do this. Don't be like professional, and then like break out the thesaurus and find a whole bunch of words that are synonyms to professional and string them all together in gigantic long sentences. If you have this on your resume, I want you to delete it right now. Okay, don't do this. It's a waste of everybody's time. It's a waste of space on the page. Not one person, I promise you, reads it and be like, oh, well, this person is professional and punctual and all these things. They're not. You prove that, right, when you get the job. Okay. Montana licensed, level 2 certified adjuster rated, or you could say multi-state, 19 state licensed, right? Summarize yourself in one sentence, right? If I'm a recruiter or a team manager, because a lot of times the team managers are going to be the ones that are, looking at your resume because they're looking for somebody to put on their team, right? Okay, this person's got 19 licenses, level 2 Xactimate certified, ready to serve. Oh, great, perfect, right? That's almost all they really need to see, right? From here, I'm going to go into my certifications. You could say industry certifications, whatever, right? Maybe that's underlined. And you could, bullet points here. You could be like, adjust if you're certified with Fast Track, adjust your TVs. This is how you put it on your resume, right? You have to say that it's adjust your TV. Adjust your TVs, Fast Track to deployment, certified adjuster, right? Xactimate level 2 certification. If you got a great score, 93, score 93%, right? That's what I would do. If I just like got a 70 on it, I probably wouldn't put my score. But if you did really well, pump yourself up a little bit, right? Maybe you went to MOCAT's, whatever their training is, right? MOCAT's in person, whatever certification. Okay. If you want to, you can list out your licenses, but your licenses are going to change, right? You're going to be adding licenses all the time. This is the thing that they're going to look at right here is your NPN number. Okay. This is very important because they can, some companies can even help you, like they can log in with your credentials and help you get your licenses as well, right? So you want to have your NPN on there so that HR is all ready to rock and roll, right? Then I want to say, if you don't have any experience as an adjuster, which is okay, right? You say relevant work experience. And the format for this, right, is you're going to say, name the title of the role, construction manager, and then give me bullet point about it. Bullet, you could say for 5 years, right? You put the dates on there or whatever, but again, the reason why I'm not really giving too big of a crap about what's down here is because this is the most important information, all this information up here that's highlighted, okay? The rest of this stuff, they don't really care that much. I know that people make a big deal about resumes with every other career. With this one, the proof is in the pudding for you, right? When they deploy you, as long as they know you have your license and you've got some training, people lie about this stuff all the time, okay? And they will find out the first time they hand you claims, they're going to find out if you can hack it or not. Plenty of people whose only experience is retail, Gap. What do you call a person that works at the Gap out front? Gap t-shirt folder, right? Something like that. 3 years. If that's all you got, right? That's it. But that's going to be, they don't really care. This is actually not bad to have on your thing because you can say customer service award 3 months in a row. That's huge, right? That's a big deal. So if you're like, 19 years old and you're just getting into this and you, all the only thing that you have on your resume is you worked at Buc-ee's or you work at the Gap or you work at Sunglasses Hut or whatever, try to get these awards. I mean, they provide distinction for you, right? Punctuality, whatever it is. I mean, this is where you put in this kind of stuff, like, right? Because sales, retail, customer service, any sort of customer facing thing is a big deal, right? So you can add a couple, 3 at the most bullet points on this. Promoted to manager, whatever, right? And then a bullet point. And then add another experience, right? So role 8 years, right? Bullet, 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 so on and so forth, right? If you really want to, I would go back. They're going to ask you, like on your application, I'm sure you guys probably already done this, but they're going to ask you to go back, like, was it like 5 years or something like that? If you've got a LinkedIn profile, just copy and paste that stuff into here, right? Maybe you got one last one, right? Roll 2 years. Bullet. Okay. And this is the place where this is the top of the fold, right? On this page. Everything that's below this line is probably not going to get looked at. I would truthfully, everything that's below this line, probably not going to get looked at. Even if you have a lot of experience, okay? And all your relevant work experience is hurricane this, hailstorm that, winter storm this, wildfire, Waldo Canyon fire, whatever it is, right? They don't really care. They just want to know that you can do the work. And the only way that they're going to know that you can actually do the work, it has nothing to do with your resume. I'm always kind of beating a dead horse on this, but it's going to be, they're going to give you the work and you're going to try to do it, right? That's why the FTD program is built the way it is. It's because it helps you to have a framework to, when you get punched in the side of the face, when you weren't looking, by something that happens during the process, you don't completely fall down and you're out, right? You fall down and you get caught by the framework. The framework is going to help you to recover from that and keep moving forward, right? So, but below this line, you could say, education, right? And this is, of course, is that you got to be BA, and this is what mine is: radio and television, Indiana University, 1995 graduated. I'm old, minor in business and marketing, which means I took like 4 marketing classes. Whatever you got on here. It could be that you have there might be some other I don't know that I'm going to be putting my high school thing on here and like making a big production about my high school stuff. Maybe you want to, right? Maybe before this, you went to you got an associate's. Is that what an associate's is? You got an AA, we'll say, in aviation tech from whatever, or, you spent retired Navy SEAL. I will tell you, and this doesn't mean if you don't have this, it's not a bad thing, but I will tell you that if you are a former military veteran, if you are law enforcement, first responder, those kind of folks, right? Smoke jumpers, whatever, people that are used to getting a call at 2:00 in the afternoon on Tuesday and having to be 4 states away by the next day, and then be able to deal with like stressful situations. A lot of companies will prioritize people with military, law enforcement, et cetera, backgrounds. Okay. Which I think is pretty cool, honestly, because there's a lot of opportunities in the independent insurance business, especially for veterans. So you have that, great. If you don't, it's not, it's not going to be like a deciding factor, because you could be like, command sergeant major or whatever of the SOCOM and get out there and try to do claims and fall down flat on your face and it just not click with you, right? So again, I'll go back to the thing that they're looking at here is all this stuff up at the top, right? The rest of this stuff down here is just to kind of fill in the picture of who you are, right? You may have some other, certifications that are not non-industry, right? You might have I don't know, Six Sigma, something like that. Who knows, right? You're a black belt. I don't know that much about that stuff, but if you want to add in things down here like, hobbies and interests, you can do that all you want to, but it's not required, right? A few bullet points, golf, motorcycles, fine dining, whatever. And then, you can, the biggest throwaway line I've ever seen on any resume is references available upon request. They're either going to request them or they're not. They're not going to, they don't need to see that on your resume. Okay. So like I said, everything down here is not super important. Everything up here, very, very, very important. Okay. I think most people watching this, I know you guys, and they're sitting here in this chat. You can get the one page filled with everything that's in your relevant work experience, right? I wouldn't go in here and waste up a bunch of space with, like, if you have 19 state licenses, listing them all out vertically and taking up a big, huge chunk of the page and then having like a second page. No matter what you've got on here, stop when you get to the bottom of the page, right? Don't be doing a 2-page resume because like I said, they're really only going to read everything that's from about half the page up. Make sense? Any questions about this? All right. And this is what my resume looks like. Let's see if I can find my resume. This is my resume from, I work a couple of my own roles. I haven't looked at this in a long time. My resume from, 2013, right? I think that somebody who's got, from 2000 to 2012, I can probably condense that down to a few lines, right? And highlight some of the hurricanes. I did 2 weight of ice and snowstorms in 2003. The first one was terrible. It was the worst experience. And the second one was one of the best claims experiences I've ever had. But this is it. Obviously, there's another 8 or 10 years after that. This is all CAT, 100% CAT. That's it, right? Provide prompt, accurate, and worry-free claims handling, outstanding customer service, and excellent client relations. I'm a standalone commercial and residential property adjuster. I don't think I ever gave this resume to anybody. I think I just kind of kept it up to date, and then I kind of like stopped adding to it because I'd literally never used it for anything. Any questions about the resume thing? Does it make sense? Does that not make sense? Main takeaways, right? Your name, where you are, right? Contact information, your NPN number, one sentence, like very, very, very brief. You can say it's an objective or a mission statement or whatever, or you can just say, ready to run claims, in Mississippi or whatever it is, right? I've got my license. I've got, the little highlight of who you are, right? The main things that I have that are the most attractive to an IA firm, right, is I got a ton of licenses. I'm Xactimate Level 2 certified. And I'm ready to go to work right now, right? I'm ready to serve, right? So that's pretty much all they really want to see. They can pull the rest of that stuff up on you later. A lot of the stuff that's on there, right? You guys are going to create your own little resumes and make a big deal out about making it pretty and everything. And then they're going to ask you questions about every single one of these things in the application, right? List the last 5 things that you ever did for work, right? And you're like, well, it's on my resume. You have to fill it out again, right? So don't spend a lot of time making your resume look super fancy and with pictures, and don't have a headshot. For a NACA, maybe put a headshot on there. Just so that because they're going to have like stacks and stacks of resumes when they leave. That might not be a bad thing to do. Let's see how we would do that. You guys are going to laugh when you see this. So I don't know if you're familiar with artificial intelligence. Raise your hand if you're familiar with artificial intelligence. I was messing around with an app that does AI, and it creates like headshots for you. You send it a bunch of pictures, and then it creates a bunch of more pictures. It's a little bit hilarious. My wife laughed so hard when I showed her these pictures. This is an AI generated headshot, right? Maybe do this. Something like that, right? I don't know, something, whatever looks nice, right? I don't think this would be a bad way to go. Right? Now they're going to remember who you are, right? And you guys are going to remember, this is what computers think I look like. Something off social media, some nice picture of yourself, maybe like, something that's relatively recent so people can recognize you, right? Because it's honestly, those guys are going to be sitting there at their booths at NACA for 3 days straight, doing interview after interview after interview after interview. Which I would, now that I'm thinking about it, I would put my picture on there for sure, because it's going to be a struggle for them to remember exactly who you are. I don't know. The AI thing is, honestly, it's pretty funny. My wife lost her mind when she saw this one. She thought it was the funniest thing. NACA starts, well, let's just go through this. NACA, there's the reception is Sunday night. NACA, I hope that you guys are able to make it. It is a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. I cannot stress enough how big of a deal this thing is. Can't make it for whatever reason. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it is an important event. It's the first one of the year. It is the biggest one of the year. And it is the one where you get the most opportunities to interview with IA firms. And there's other companies there as well. Which, maybe you've got a tech background and you want to go work for one of these tech companies that are going to be there. Eagle View. Oh, Eagle View is right behind me. So my booth is right here. Front entrance is here. Usually Pilot, the big boys will get these, like probably that's Alacrity, right? The 2 first big booths that are right there. And then my booth is back over here, overlooking all the tables. iPaths is right next to mine. Who else we got? Adjuster Pro is right behind mine. And EDS, who's that? Sometimes you get like these guys, Recovery Solutions. I'm not, these, honestly, this is, it's kind of weird, I think, for people like, for companies like this to want to attend a conference like ours. But, you know, you don't necessarily have to go into doing claims. You guys can do more FEMA stuff, right? This is going to be, they looks like they do, let's just see what they do. Rapid response disaster recovery specialist. Specializing in off-premise food, beverage, human need, and support services. You know what? A good friend of mine actually does this. Stuff like this. So on big hurricanes, they will go down and set up like tent cities with food, and all this kind of stuff like bathrooms and waters and blankets and things like that, to help out the first responders, right? So like the National Guard and the police and the fire and all those guys, but also for people that are out of their homes, you know, they need a hot meal, etc. Right? They may be worth going and talking to these guys. Maybe they've got an opportunity for you. You never know, right? It might be a good gig. I don't know, but it's worth exploring. So I tell you what I would do here, before I go, is I would go through this whole list, and everybody who's got a link, so start at the top. There's not that many. There's like 40, I think. Start at the top and just do a little mini dossier for each one. Right. Welcome to A&R Claim Services. I'm going to go to their about. And just kind of like poke through here and see what I can see, right? They're going to have a lot of like, this is the resume stuff that is like just sort of like boilerplate stuff. We're not really seeing much in the way of like who they are personally. Do they have anything about their leadership team? Superior Claim Solutions. Everybody says that, right? So this is what you don't want your resume to look like, honestly. Doesn't mean that these guys are bad. Just means that they haven't put a lot into their marketing executive team. So they're owned by a company called S.A.L.S. This is their executive team. You might see some of these people at conference, right? Just maybe. But I'm just going to kind of poke through this stuff, right? Obviously, Adjuster TV, you guys know all about that. Adjuster X, he doesn't have his information on there, but I'm going to give it to you because they have $15 roof sketches, and they have a scheduling app. This is routexpro.com. Oops. Just send that to everybody. routexpro.com. It's worth it. Adjuster Pro for your licensing, administrative strategies. Who are these guys? Claims Pros. They have a claims conference, right? And so you also see, hey, well, you know what? They've got a claims conference in Biloxi at the end of February, right? Maybe you want to go to that one too. Maybe ask them about it. This is an ask a question. Hey, I noticed you guys. I was looking through your website, and I noticed that you guys have a conference coming up, and I just wanted to just can you just give me some more information about it, right? Just tell me more about it, right? And that'll kick if they hopefully they know about it, and if they do, then they can, this is why we call it networking, right? You might look them up on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Administrative strategies, right? Look at some of their posts, so on and so forth. You kind of get a feel for who these companies are by just doing a little bit of 30 seconds worth of like recon on them, right? Let's go to pilots and I'll show you real quick. Locat's on there. Pilotcat.com. You guys I'm sure you've probably been to Pilot's website. We go to their about page, right? We got a little cute video. Our Story. That's is that Tony Macon? Or is that it's one of the pilots. Pilot's a family business. Family business today. They're not owned by some huge company. Like Sedgwick is owned by another company that's a gigantic multinational. Crawford is itself a gigantic multinational that has like the claims is a really small part of their business, right? You didn't, but you didn't know that. There's another one that's got a huge company behind them. Eberl is owned by another company. CNC is owned by another huge company, right? Pilot's not. Pilot's they're a family run business. They pay as soon as you turn your bills in, right? And they do a huge volume of claims, and they're able to do that, right? They're not going paycheck to paycheck like some little boutique mom and pops thing. Not to say that the smaller companies you're gonna have problems getting paid, but I've never ever in 20 years had Pilot ever like be slow on paying me, right? It's kind of important, but so on and so forth. I would, if I were you, a little bit of a pre-conference if you're going recon. Just go to NACA DJ.org and click on convention. Go down to exhibitor information, pull this page up, and it's going to show everybody who's got a booth, right? And there's a bunch. They almost sold out of booths. They have only 2 booths left, which is pretty awesome. Team One's another good company. Wardlaw. Wingspan is a like a, what is it? What do they call it? Like a personal finance management app, sort of like Paysetter uses Wingspan so to basically pay you and show your pay stubs and all this kind of. It does a whole bunch of things, but they might be hiring, right? Who knows? But you can find out information about them, and you can maybe get a free demo or get some swag. I mean, everybody's going to have hats and stickers and all this kind of stuff. I got a bunch of hats that are supposed to be delivered tomorrow. We're also supposed to get a foot of snow here tomorrow, so that may have an impact. Hopefully, my hats get here in time for me to pick them up before I leave for the conference. But anyway, the thing I was going to show you. So they've got a convention schedule, right? 21st is Sunday. Registration, the desks, they'll have the ladies and the guys at the desks. They have these iPad things that you can register when you get there. After if you haven't paid and you want to pay like the day of price, which is like $1,000, which I wouldn't recommend. Either way, you go there to get signed in. Basically, they give you your ID badge and a little like bag with a bunch of junk in it that you're probably going to throw away, and like drink tickets and goofball stuff like that, right? So between 2 and 5:30. Right. And you can really do that anytime. If you showed up on Tuesday, the registration people will still be sitting out in the hall. Right. The welcome reception is from 5:30 to 7:30. And that is basically a cocktail party with little finger food stuff. There'll be speakers. They asked me to speak, and I said no because I just said no. And then after that, people network or whatever. At that, right? Then the next morning, just a general session. There'd be a keynote at 8 o'clock in the morning, probably, or 8 or 9, right? And then the exhibit hall opens, so you can start scheduling your interviews starting at 9:30, and it goes until 6 p.m. And that's basically the way it goes until Wednesday. Thursday is not really a day. Okay, Thursday is they have the NACA business. If you're a member of NACA. If you're like a voting member, then you can go to this if you want to, and they have like minutes, and it's a meeting, and they say who the new president is, and they do all this kind of stuff. It's a typical like trade association kind of a deal, right? They'll go over like the financials and all this stuff because it's a nonprofit, right? They'll also on Thursday do an NFIP renewal. If you don't have NFIP, don't bother. Don't bother going to this. It's not, especially if you've never run claims before, I wouldn't spend a lot of time unless you take like a fast track thing that like Crawford has that is designed to get you there faster. Don't waste a day in Reno sitting through an FIP thing. It's not really for new people. The 24th is the last day, but Monday at 6:30, from 6:30 till like 8:30 or 9, MoCat, Pace Setter, CNC, and one or two other companies are doing evening on-site event where they have cocktails and they have a magician and they give away prizes and all this kind of stuff, right? It's pretty cool. I strongly recommend that you go. Adjuster TV and IA Path have a event later that night, which you probably already know about, where we're going to go offsite, just Uber. It's about 8-minute Uber from the hotel to a local bar that has axe throwing. And they've got like, we rented out the whole upstairs, which has axe throwing. And we've got free drinks for you guys, free drink tickets while they last, of course. If you want to get a late bite to eat, they have a whole bar downstairs that has full menu, as well as like they've got pool and darts and giant Jenga and all kinds of stuff downstairs. We did not rent out the downstairs, so that's not part of our deal. But if you're hungry, you can go down there and get food, right? And that goes from 9 to, it goes from 8 to 11, right? Just show up any old time, right? Just come hang out. Our marketing partners are going to be there as well. So we've got Kaplik, which do E&O. Come meet Kenton and his group and talk about E&O insurance and if you really need it as a brand new adjuster or not. We have Hague Education is going to be there. Ryan Holdhusen, he's probably going to be there. If he's not going to be there, somebody from his team will be there, and you'll see him on the exhibit convention room floor. He's always at his booth, and all these guys are going to be there, and then Adjuster Pro will have somebody there as well, and then of course IA Path. So lots of cool people to meet, talk to. We're kind of most of us are like kind of on the education end of things as far as like claims go, except for Kaplik, obviously. And Adjuster Pro because they're licensing. But that's going to be a cool event. You will be getting emails about our event pretty soon if you haven't already. Tuesday night is bowling from 6 to 9 p.m. Okay, so you want to go to that as well. I think it costs $50, something like that. It costs money to do that, but it's another networking event. They're going to have prizes, door prizes, and stuff like that as well. And then the last day is Wednesday, and I have never seen. They say Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it makes sense. So normally they say the exhibit hall opens at 8 and goes till 5:30, right? So here it's going from exhibit hall opens 8 to 5. They normally say on the last day, exhibit hall opens 8 to 5. But after lunch, people start tearing their booths down. So if you're going to do any training, I would do it after lunch on the last day and front load all of my interviews on Monday, Tuesday, and then before lunch on Wednesday. Because like I said, a lot of people have flights. A lot of the recruiters and everybody have flights out Wednesday night. Okay, makes sense. So I would strongly recommend that you spend all of Monday and all of Tuesday doing interviews, and then leave. If you want to take education classes, leave those for Wednesday. If you got everybody, you interviewed with everybody you wanted to Monday, Tuesday, then do education on Wednesday, or do it after lunch on Wednesday, because that's when everybody starts tearing their booths down, right? And like I said, nobody's there on Thursday. Nobody that's going to make a difference for you anyway will be there on Thursday, or me for that matter. So let's see. They have Disco Bowl. It is $45.95 per person, includes dinner, bowling, music, drink, tickets, and shoe rental. Dress up in your best disco attire and win the best dressed contest. Fantastic prizes, right? Fabulous food to refuel your energy from being on the, running around at the conference all week. Show off your moves. So you get a strike, get a spare, do your little bowling dance, right? Shake your groove thing to the electrifying beats. This is a very, very important highlight to this event. So I strongly recommend that you go. Okay, that's about all I can squeeze out of this hour. Any questions? And again, I apologize for being 1 hour late. I'm glad to see at least some folks were able to jump in here. I totally spaced it. It's supposed to be an hour earlier, right? Give me a thumbs up if I'm right in saying that. I also have a little bit of a cold, so that might be part of it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to go ahead and button this sucker up, but I don't see any other questions or anything. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for being flexible while I kind of got my rear end in gear. And we will see you next week. What we're going to do next week for this is, since everybody's going to be at NACA who's on Adjuster TV, including James Mathis, Andy Patterson, Max Olson, who's sometimes on there, and myself, I'm going to do the claims clinic live. We did it last year live from the conference. We're going to do it again live from the conference, and I'll have people come over and sit down and talk and ask questions and stuff like that. So if you're there, I hope that you are. 1 o'clock. Let's see. It'll be 12 p.m. Pacific time. So it's supposed to be 2 p.m. Central time, right, that we do this. So next Tuesday at 12 Pacific time, which is the same time it's going to happen, be at my booth. And we'll do a microphone thing like, what's your question? And then we'll answer it. And maybe I'll have like last year we had Guy Grand sit down with us to answer questions. And Guy Grand's an old industry guy. Maybe we'll get somebody from Pilot or Crawford or whatever to come sit with us. So, and they can answer your questions. Don't take it from me, right? I can get it straight from the horse's mouth right there at the conference. So claims clinic, unless we have some sort of major tech catastrophe. Ben Shearhouse, I will see you. We will be doing the on Zoom, same deal. Nothing will change. If you're there, great. Just come over and hang out with us while we're doing it. If not, we'll see you here next week at 2 p.m. Central. And away we go. So, all right, my friends. Well, listen, thanks so much for your patience, and we will see you guys next week.